We'll see. I have it straight on my phone now, so we'll see if that helps. Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay. Oh, someone's on the chat. Sorry if I think I had some technical difficulties there. I feel like this whole morning has been technical difficulties. Hopefully that one person watching me can hear okay. First I had problems with sound, then I think I had problems with my Wi-Fi. So, hey Dan, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you can hear me. Constant technical issues. All to watch a stupid video of me struggling to change some blades on this Hercules planer. Dan, you gotta put out some more videos, man. I love the ones you have up. I gotta get me some more of those videos. Very well edited, by the way. Got some serious talent there. But one thing I'm not liking about this so far, that I can already tell is going to be a huge issue, is how soft this aluminum head is. Now, I know that aluminum heads are going to be soft. That's just how it is. But they also combine them with these, man, they're like very soft screws. And I already stripped one out. So I just jammed it in there for now. It's going to be next time's problem. But no matter how I got that in there, it almost seems like it was cross-threaded through the factory, which is wicked annoying. So yeah, not happy with that at all. It didn't seem to matter how I lined it up. It just was, threads must have been boogered up. These threads. You know, I think what I'll probably do is I'll have to retap that thing. But that's next year Boring Guy DIY issue. You know what though, I should probably mark that with something. With a little bit of paint, just so I know which one's messed up. I mean, I was tempted just to leave that screw out, but not when these things spin at like 13,000 RPM. I like all of my wins. Oh, Dan, I totally get it, man. Life gets busy. The only reason I'm here today is that I got to work from home and I figured I'd take a little break. Take a lunch break and do this. You guys probably saw me just put that in completely incorrectly, I hope. Yeah, once I get this done, I think I'll drag the table saw over here. So if you guys check out my videos, I have an old saw stop, a CNS, one of the contractor models. And I got it for free, believe it or not. It was beat up though, it was in bad shape. So one of my buddies actually works at a school, a vocational school. And he worked for their grounds department. And it was in one of the back warehouses. I think it was one of the earlier saw stops. So probably like, you know, late 2000s, right? And the thing was destroyed. It was sitting in a warehouse in the back for like 10 years. It was covered, just covered in bird poop and all sorts of nasty stuff. But they told him, they were like, hey, you got to get rid of this, throw it in the trash. And he just didn't have the heart to do it, right? So he called me up and he's like, hey, do you want a saw stop? You know, I'm thinking, oh man, of course I do. Who doesn't want a saw stop? And I was thinking it was going to be in better shape, but either way, a free saw is a free saw, right? So, you know, I could care less. I'll take it for the motor or whatever, you know? So he brings it over, and again, it was a mess, but everything was there, you know, and it didn't seem broken. That was the weird thing. I'm assuming they were going to throw it away because it was broken, but that wasn't the case. So there's actually a little, if you guys are familiar with saw stops, they're the type of table saws that they have basically an aluminum cartridge that will pop out and stop the blade if you hit your finger. Really cool technology, right? And it's going to be great for my kids, so I can teach them how to use a saw and have it be relatively safe. But anyways, there's a little lock on there where you lock in the cartridge. And if you don't lock that in right, the computer on the saw, it basically tells itself to shut off. You know, it's like a safety mechanism. So I was just taking it apart and I flipped that lock back on. And I'm like, man, there's no way that was actually the problem, right? That couldn't be that simple. And it was. So I ended up getting a free saw stop. Of course, I had to tear the whole thing down, paint it, get rid of the rust. It wasn't that, you know, straightforward, but I basically painted the whole thing up. And if you guys hang around, I'll show it to you in a minute once I get this done. And I ended up making a nice little saw out of it. Still in pretty good shape. And it actually comes with the old school mobile base that they don't make anymore. It's almost like a wheelbarrow. It's kind of cool. So, you know, a lot of people in some way, well, not a lot, you know, a few people in my other videos, you know, they'll be like, oh, you got a saw stop. You know, you must think you're the greatest, blah, 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 whatever. And no, I don't have the money for a saw stop. I probably never will. I have one because I took the time and effort on something that was given to me to make it into a nice saw. So, you know, you never know. Sometimes you get lucky, right? Okay, we're on the last one now. Man, no, these things seized right in there. I can't believe they didn't assemble this with any kind of anti-seize at all. They're just, it almost seems like those bolts, they're like I don't want to say they're not aluminum, but I can just feel how weak they are. Like, I feel like this is going to be an issue in the future. I've never had another planer, so I don't know if this is going to be, you know, something that's common among all these little cheap planers, but maybe next time I do this, I'll throw a little anti-seize in there to make this job easier. You can hear them snap. And I don't see any thread lock around there, so I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, Dan, it was awesome, man. I was super happy. And if you guys check out some of my other videos, I actually got rid of all the equipment, but I restored a lot of, I restored a lot of vintage machinery. So a radial arm saw, an old joiner. What else did I restore? An old bandsaw. So I actually enjoy this kind of stuff, you know? But I've mainly swapped over to a lot of more modern tools. They're just easy to deal with. You know, the old stuff is awesome, don't get me wrong. Built solid, but there's always something wrong. There's always something you got to adjust. And it just depends, you know. Maybe when I'm older and I maybe have more time, I'm thinking retirement maybe. You know, maybe I'll have enough time to tinker with those old machines. Because generally, once you get them set up, they're fine. But kind of the issue for me is that, you can see here, I'm working out of one car garage, right? I got to move stuff around. Moving around old iron constantly is not fun, and it tends to get out of adjustment because I have to move it. So I think for me, it's going to be modern tools. I'm going to try to pick up an old lathe. I think a lathe is something I might pick up, vintage, just because they're so simple. I mean, it's a modern lathe, an old lathe, they're all the same. Mostly, right? I mean, I know someone's going to probably be mad at that comment. But overall, okay, besides the fact that I just stripped the bolt, and that very well could have been my problem. I could have just put it in wrong. I'm not going to blame Hercules here or Harbor Freight. But other than that, I absolutely love this planer. And Dan, I think you mentioned you have one. And I'd be interested to hear what you think, what your thoughts are on this planer. But it hasn't let me down. And I plane a lot of really heavy, oftentimes exotic woods that have a lot of silica in them. So they really tear the blades down pretty quick. And this thing, it struggles a little bit, but it's never let me down. And again, I wouldn't expect any portable planer to fare any better. Except for maybe the DeWalt 735. I know that is like the Goldilocks planer that everybody uses. I just couldn't afford it, so. But I think I might next time. I think the next planer is either going to be the DeWalt 735, or it just might be a 15-inch heavier duty model. Oh, good. Yeah, it's good to hear, Dan, that's something you like too. So I've heard a lot of good reviews about this little guy. Yeah, and as far as the lathe, I've been dying to get into it. I've been dying. So that's definitely going to be the next tool. I always find myself needing cylindrical parts, right? Like I always find myself needing something that I can't make without a lathe. So definitely the next tool on the list. Or a bandsaw, actually. I might get a bigger bandsaw. I don't know. It's like the chicken before the egg, though, right? I mean, usually you need a bandsaw to cut the stock for a lathe. Or it helps, anyways, right? Square out some stock. We'll see. We'll see how things work. Okay, just a silver. Hey, soldier. Hercules planer is a nice machine. It was high on the list when I was shopping. Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. It is. I've had no problem. I abuse this thing too. I don't treat it well. I probably should. This is like the only tool that I don't really treat well. I just shove stuff through it. Maybe take off more than I should. Especially with the heavy, harder woods. But you know what though? I wasn't super impressed with how long these blades lasted. But again, my perception might be skewed a little bit because I always plane exotic hardwoods. That's typically what I work with, Padauk, sometimes Purple Heart, Wenge, and that stuff just trashes blades. So I don't think it's fair to me to say yet that these blades don't last that long, because I don't really plane a lot of domestic species, which is probably what most planers will see. Okay, let's get this nice and tight. And I'm probably just going to go around the whole thing one more time. Because again, I'm not a big fan of 13,000 RPM spinning around with loose bolts. That's not a good time. Okay, let's do a check here. Beautiful. Next one. And then we're going to move on to the table saw. It's going to be interesting though. I've never adjusted a contractor saw, so you're going to see me fumble quite a bit. Oh, that's a good point, Dan. It's interesting, right? So I've read a lot of things on the internet that potentially this Hercules planer is a clone of the DeWalt 734. I don't know if that's true or how closely this actually is a clone. I don't know if, you know, Harbor Freight just took some ideas from the DeWalt or if it's actually made in the same factory with different specs, right? You never know. That happens a lot in the woodworking world. Like, you know, Powermatic, Jet, Grizzly, they're all made in the same factory. They just have different quality control and slightly different specs, right? So it would be interesting, and I don't have a ton of money, so I don't usually like to gamble. But maybe somebody at some point will buy some DeWalt 734 blades from Amazon, because they have a pretty good return policy. And then see if we can just fit them in here. I don't know. Because that would open up a whole world of different blades as well. Because I know they have some carbide blades, they have higher quality blades for the DeWalt 734. So if the stock one fits, I would assume that they all would. I mean, even if there was some slight grinding to be done, it might be an interesting idea. Cool, so it looks like we're good there. I do actually like this little blade stop, or sorry, carriage lock, or whatever the heck it's called. So it actually allows it to lock in place while you're working on it. Cool, looks like we're good there. With the exception of that screw that I absolutely murdered. But what I'm thinking is these holes are pretty close to 1/4 inch, so I'll probably just tap it. I have a 1/4 inch tap. I'll probably just tap it there. You know what, I'm gonna do one more around here. I'm pretty meticulous when it comes to machine maintenance. I don't like stuff falling apart and killing me. So I'm gonna do one more check here and make sure everything looks good. Beautiful. We'll pop this back on, and it is interesting, right? They put this extremely cheap little foam thing on here, little foam weather stripping. And I've had this for about 6 months and it's already deteriorated. So I don't know how important it is. It probably doesn't even matter, but something to keep in mind. Like, why would they cheap out that much on this type of thing? A little rubber gasket would have been much better. Again, not a deal breaker, but just kind of weird, you know? Weird decisions. Let me see here. Oh, the Helix option. So interesting, Dan, about this. I actually, yeah, you're right, Helical. Totally right, by the way. Helix. So Helix is a brand kind of like Band-Aid, and there's a bunch of, you know, they're kind of the ones everybody wants. They sell a bunch of knockoffs too. Now, I actually contacted Helix and asked them, and what they actually said is they will never make one for this model, for the Hercules. The reason being is apparently it's underpowered. It'll keep tripping the breaker. They did some investigation, but they will never make one for this, which I found really interesting because they make one for the DeWalt 734, and it has a 15 amp motor just like this one. So I would think that it would have plenty of power, but I don't know. They're the experts, right? They obviously thought about this. There is definitely a market for this planer, so they could have sold some. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed though. I was hoping that would be the case. But that's not to say that if somebody was handy enough that they couldn't modify the 734 head to fit this guy. I just think at that point, I would just rather buy a DeWalt and save some time and headaches. Cool. Looks like we're good to go. There's a little handle here. So next year when I'm playing with this, I should, oh, Wes is here. What's up, Wes? I caught my first live. I feel like a proud kid, like their dad came in and watched their first live. That's awesome. Oh, Soldier, I completely agree with you, by the way. Doesn't it seem like it kind of struggles a little bit? Like it just doesn't have that oomph that you want sometimes? Oh, and Wes, I'm just bopping around the shop, by the way. I think you were the last one to join here. I'm just adjusting some tools, changing some blades out. But anyways, yeah, got all this done. So I'm gonna drag the table saw over here and we're gonna mess with that. So I got, oh yeah, Wes, I see your comment now. So I changed all the blades over, I swapped them over. I do a lot of exotic woods. You probably see my videos, a lot of Padauk, stuff like that. It these blades real quick. So it's too cold out here for me to like do stuff with my hands. So I decided to maintenance some of my equipment. So I switched the blades. I'm gonna drag my table saw over here. I think I have an alignment issue, so I'm gonna fix that, or try to. I don't know, we'll see. But man, I appreciate all the support, guys. It's awesome. I love watching most of your lives, so kind of cool seeing you on mine. But as I get more sophisticated here in my YouTube-ness, I will definitely start doing more stuff like Wes does, where he'll kind of do a project, walk you through it. Those are always fun to watch, so. Let's get this thing out of the way. Now actually, if you notice, I mounted this thing on an old miter saw stand, which is kind of cool because I have to move all my equipment around. And I can't lift this thing up. I have back problems, so like lifting this thing up off the floor was getting real old, real quick. And I actually found this old miter saw stand for free on Craigslist. Look at that, wheels right out of the way. As my dad would say, incredible. Let's see what we got for comments here. Oh, hey James. I haven't overheated it. So I have not overheated my planer yet. Again, I take like 32nd inch cuts. I don't take anything more than that. And I know that you can take up to 16th inch cuts. But man, I don't feel good about it. It sounds like the motor's a little struggling. So this is my table saw that I restored. And man, check this out, guys. It's on like a wheelbarrow base. Well, I just dropped the fence, so hopefully that didn't break. Of course it did. We'll fix that. No big deal. Well, luckily it didn't break. Now that's the interesting part about these things, right? They're on a, maybe one thing I'm not a huge fan of with these saw stops is these stupid wood side panels. You can see they get all beat up, they get chipped. I mean, there's gotta be a better way, right? I know that like Jet and Powermatic, they use the plastic. Just seems better to me, but anyways, luckily I didn't have this very tight, so instead of breaking my fence, it just popped out. We'll fix that after. Let's see here, what do we got here? Okay, so, oh man, excuse me, I think I have boogers sliding out of my nose here, it's gross. It's so cold, like I hate New England in the winter, guys. Absolutely hate it. Let me see if I can get a better angle here. I don't know if that's better. I'm jealous of you guys down south. Get to work and not freeze to death. So anyways, here's what I think the problem is, right? I get a lot of burning with this saw. Now, I haven't quite had enough time to fully set the whole thing up. I basically made it usable, but what I think the problem is I think this blade is not aligned with the miter slot. Pretty sure that's the issue. So I think it's skewed a little bit, right? And I think that's causing the wood to kind of pinch and burn up. So what I'm thinking is, I bought this cool little gauge like months ago. Of course, I just didn't get it. Check this thing out, right? I'm sure some of you guys have seen this before, but oh man, Illinois, man, I think you guys get it way worse than we do. Dan, I can't even imagine. Oh, Wes, come on, man. That ain't cool. Just rubbing it in. But yeah, it's. I just hate the cold. And this garage is too old, and I don't have enough money to insulate it yet. So, future boring guy DIY. But anyways, I picked up one of these pretty one-purpose items. Unfortunately, I don't think I can repurpose this for anything else. But the way this works is that this actually sits in the miter slot, and it will ride up against the blade, and I'll be able to tell within thousands of an inch how accurate that blade actually is, or how straight it is to the miter slot. So there's basically 3 steps that I know of, and leave in the comments if you guys have any more steps to making a saw more accurate. But the first thing you usually got to do is you got to make the blade parallel to the miter slot. That's number 1. So you stop there. Now there's a bunch of different ways to do this depending on the saw. Some of the portable ones, they don't even have an adjustment, so you're just kind of stuck with it. But with a contract saw, the trunnion assembly is typically bolted up through the bottom, right? So this whole piece can move separately, which is super annoying because you got to get under there and you got to like crank it around. But there'll be 4 bolts, and basically what I'll do is I'll loosen those up if I need to, and I'll just move this side to side if I need to align that blade perfectly parallel with the miter slot. And then the second stage, since I dropped my fence and I totally busted the thing in half, I'm going to put that back together, and then I'm going to align the fence to the blade. Or I could just align it to the miter gauge because I know that I've already done step 1. So we'll see if that works. I don't know, but I've never even used this before, so again, I'm not a machinist. So if anybody's got any tips, be like, yo, fix that. Oh, Dan, thanks for stopping by, man. You do you. I'm just glad that you showed up at all. I was a little concerned that I was going to be by myself in here, talking to myself like I usually do. Okay, so I think what I do is I insert it in the slot, I twist these little knob thingies, put a little pressure on there so it has no side play, no wiggle. And I'll start with this side of the blade. I'll zero it out, and I'm going to slide it along. Now, in theory, if this is zeroed out here at 0, I should also be at 0 by the time I get to this side of the blade. If there's any discrepancy, I know that that's the way I have to move the blade. So let's see here. I really don't want to adjust this, guys, so I hope it's correct. Ah, man. Yep, that's the problem. It's 7/1000ths off. Slide that back. Let me start over here. Let's do it over here and see if it's the same, just to make sure. Yep, it's exactly 7/1000ths off. So that was exactly my issue. The blade was getting pinched, the wood was getting pinched, and it was burning. And that's why this has never cut the way I wanted it to. But now the bigger issue is, how the heck do I get under this thing and fix it? I'm not in the mood for this, but I'm going to do it. Oh, hey, soldier. We're having more winter weather so far this year. We've had in years. Snow, ice, and frigid temps. I hear you there, man. We're just having the frigid temp thing. We haven't really gotten a lot of snow up here in Mass, but... I'm going to grab my Allen keys. Man, there's nothing better than getting on an ice-cold concrete floor, too. Oh, love it. I'm going to assume probably metric, right? Okay, I'm going to go under there, and I'm not going to bring the camera with me because all I'm going to do is undo a couple bolts. Ah, cool, Dan, you're still here. Someone could watch me struggle. Ah. Let's see what we got here. Of course, we got a lot of plastic in the way. Ah, interesting. It looks like we have hex bolts. Of course, they're in like the worst spot possible. Awesome. Yeah, you know what? I'll bring the camera down here. You guys can see what I'm doing. I'm getting too fat for this. let's bring you guys with me here. So I'll put you there, and I'll be right back. I gotta grab some tools. Okay, let's see what we got here. Hey, Johnny. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I see that you just joined. So right now what I'm actually doing is I'm adjusting the trunnion on my saw stop. I noticed that my blade was a little bit out of whack. So I'm getting under there and I'm trying to adjust it the best I can. But in typical engineering fashion, they buried all these bolts under everything. 10, maybe half-inch will work. We'll find out. You know what? It's always 10 millimeter. Of course, I don't have a 10 millimeter. Why is that joke so accurate? Ah, there's one. Okay, I'll bring you guys in with me. Okay, let's see what we're looking at here. Let's start with this one. Pull right here. Oh man, I can't even reach that. That one I could probably reach. That one in theory. The joys of woodworking, guys. I think I'm going to set you guys up back outside here. This is going to be a struggle. You know, hopefully my kids appreciate this when they ask me to make them stuff in the future. Here, let's get you guys as low as we can go on the tripod here. Like I said, this is gonna be a rough live, you know. It's kind of how I usually do things, without a plan. Okay, here we go. Let's get back into this. Now, of course, I don't have enough extensions to actually get this where I want. Let's try that one. Not too big. Hey, why does that not feel right either? Why does saw stuff have to be so confusing? Like, it's half metric, apparently half standard, imperial, whatever the heck you call it. It's 14. 13. This has got to be metric. But anyways, for anybody that celebrates Christmas, you guys happy for it to happen or happy for it to be over? I think I'm still in the happy for it to happen camp. And my wife takes care of everything, to be honest. Like I don't do anything. So I think that makes it very easy for me. Okay, got that tremulous loosened. Now I gotta find where the heck these other two are. That's another thing, like why do engineers bury things that need routine maintenance? Never could understand it. It's like, oh, you might need to fix that. Okay, we're gonna like put it under everything. I think I got it. But you know what the fun part's gonna be, right? Is that you also think they would put some type of a micro adjust system in this, right? Because there's no way I'm gonna get this within 1/1000th of an inch and actually tighten it up and have it stay that way. Now I know for a lot of other saws, there's this company, God, I don't remember the name, but they call it a PAL system. And it actually allows micro adjustments, so for like some of the older Craftsman saws. But surprisingly, they do not make it for a saw style, which I think would be a good idea. I mean, a lot of people have these, right? Where is this thing? Oh, you know what? I can rotate this cube. Look at that. Let's use our brains here. Get rid of this. I'll break it. Let's move this out of my way, and I think I'll be able to find that last bolt. Oh, I just got a whole mouthful of sawdust. That was so gross. Oh, man. Why? Oh, stop it. Stop sawdusting me. Oh, man. Well, Padauk doesn't taste that great, apparently. Who would have thought? Okay, here's the last bolt. We got it. Wait, we don't got it. We do got it. Why is that in my way? Oh, I mean, a universal joint right now would be amazing. Guess what I don't have? Break up the wrench on this guy. Ah, beautiful. Look at that. Oh, God, that's on there so tight. Based on the way this school took care of this equipment in the first place, they've never done this. Never. Now, the weird part, though, this isn't moving. I can't imagine. I wonder if I'm missing something here. Weird, it doesn't even feel like loosening this did anything. just the whole trunnion assembly in there. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, I only need to move one direction, so we should be good. Oh, man. Okay, let's bring you guys back up here. Let's see the comments here. Yo, what's up, Ray? Thanks for joining, man. Okay, I'm just gonna read some of these comments, catch up with you guys. Oh, Wes, I wish I had your luck, man. You know, I think they abused the crap out of this saw. I was at a school, right? So I think they probably just abused the heck out of this thing. Or, you know what, honestly, in a school environment, they probably would have never even noticed that it was like 6 thousandths off, right? No one's gonna notice that. But I build a lot of smaller projects, right? So it becomes wicked obvious for me. Okay, looks like we have some ability to adjust now. Let's see. Let me move you guys back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Point you down a little bit. Okay, I need a nervous kid holding the flashlight. Oh, definitely. Unfortunately, they're in school right now, so I got me. Okay, Dan. Cool, caught up with the comments. Thanks, guys. Hopefully my battery lasts in my phone. See, I don't think through any of this stuff, right, man? I just put my phone on and I'm just like, oh, it should last. Okay, so we got the trunnion loosened, right? So in theory, this whole thing should be able to move now. I'm gonna pop my dial gauge back on there. And again, I think I'm gonna have a horrible time trying to get this right. We're still 7 thousandths off, which is what I thought. So if we're trying to think here, that's minus, right? So I need to go this way. So I think I gotta twist it, whatever that way is. I can't tell. Let me see if I can get my hand on this. I did have some movement though. I don't know this moving. Nope, nope, that's the wrong way. Wrong way. You know what, let me get a big no, I don't want to use the pry bar. Yeah, I want to use the pry bar. Maybe it'll just be just enough to scooch it over a little bit. I don't even know what the heck to scooch it on. Ooh, that did something. Hey, you know what? The trunnion is attached to the motor. Maybe I just moved that. Oh, look at that. No, that's... Oh, man. Oh, man. 0. There's no way that was that easy. Absolutely no way. Just a little more. So we're 3 thousandths off right now, so we're gonna go over just a little more. Now we're 1,000. I don't think 1,000th even matters, but since we're going through the trouble, might as well do it right. Oh man. Talk about lucky right there, guys. Boring Guy DIY right here. Guys, you gotta get excited about stupid crap, or your life's gonna be boring. If that's a life lesson, I'm not as smooth as Wes. You know, Wes like gives us this information that's so like well thought out and like feels like I read it from like a book or something, right? Now, Boring Guy DIY doesn't have the smoothness, but man, if you're gonna take one life lesson away from this live, is that enjoy the small moments, the small wins, right? Like right now is a small win. You're not always going to have the big wins, right? But if you add up all the small ones, kind of equals a big one, right? Okay, imagine if my blade was bent and that was the whole issue. Didn't even consider that. That would be funny. Oh, I messed it up. A little more this way. This is what I'm saying, guys. This is where manufacturers, they really need to build in micro adjust. Even on cabinets, so I mean contractor saws. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Let's see if that actually works. Zero that again. Oh man. Okay, now I'm gonna go down below and I'm gonna adjust it. It's gonna get all out of whack. Watch. Yeah, we're within 1,000. I'm calling it. Oh yeah, Ray, I'm just recalibrating the table saw. So it was a little bit off. It was 6 thousandths off, which doesn't sound like a big deal most of the time. But you probably see in my videos, I do these small little itty bitty projects. And even that much, it messes with my projects. You know, on a bigger scale, I probably would never even notice. But yeah, Dan, Wes is the smoothest operator for sure. I'm like the homeless guy that sits outside of Dunkin' Donuts asking for spare change. That's me, like with the cup of water. I think that's a requirement actually. If you open a Dunkin' Donuts franchise, is that you need at least one homeless guy out front badgering you about change. Which is fine, man. I don't have any problem with that. It's funny. It's almost like they require it or something. It's like, okay, you have liquid assets equal to 500,000. Perfect. That checks off that part of the list. Yep, you're a responsible human. Good. Yeah, that's good. But do you have a homeless guy to put up front? That's the important part of this franchise application. Anyways, I don't know, Dunkin' Donuts around here is like, some people worship it. I don't get it. It's not that great of a coffee. I mean, it's okay, but it's not like it's the best thing that's ever happened. Gotta eat your donkeys, you know? That's all the people around it. I'm sorry, guys. I just ate so much sawdust. This is how I am all the time, also. You can tell my wife has so much fun with me. Oh my God, where is this sawdust even coming from? It doesn't even make sense. So I'm gonna crank these bad boys down. Hopefully I walk up to the top here and we're actually at the setting that we set it at. Let's see here. I'll bring you guys in on this one. Let's see. Let's zero it out. Exactly what I was afraid of right there. You can see as we move down the blade, we are now 9 thousandths off again. But now that I cinched it down a little bit, let's see if I could just nudge it over a bit. Yeah, Ray, I mean, usually you don't have to. Usually they're set up pretty well from the factory. This is the first saw I've had to touch. But again, I think this was because this particular saw was being tossed around in a warehouse. And I think it probably got lifted in ways you should never lift a table saw. Would be my guess. So I only tightened up 2 of the bolts, so I'm hoping a little bit of persuasion here. Be in a good spot. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna get under there and loosen that again. That's not happening. And I'm only 33 great. I have the body of like a 8-year-old. Let's try that again. Okay, let's hit that this way a little. That way a little. No, definitely that way. Man, now I'm in the point where I don't know what direction I'm supposed to be hitting it. Oh, that's the right way. There we go. You know, let me get a mallet. Hey Wes, look, I'm actually using a mallet for something. I made all these mallets. The first time I'm actually going to use one. Don't worry, Wes. I'm still thinking up ideas here. I'm gonna fire back in our mallet wars, but not there yet. What is going on here? I was so confident that that was correct. Okay, we're gonna do it that way. Okay, now I'm just confused. What the heck is going on here? See, that's the problem, right? I gotta loosen it up more to move it. But then it would be too loose, so I'll lose my adjustment. There was a way I could clamp it, but definitely not smart enough to figure that one out. Let's try that way. Okay, now we got some movement. That's what I wanted to see. Anyways, guys, I appreciate everybody watching. I think you've had enough of me sitting here smashing this thing. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I feel like what I'm doing is correct, but I'll hang on for another few minutes here. Maybe we can all see this work out. Okay. Now, how are we that far off? You know, maybe I'll take these down. Okay, that's all the way up. Yeah, I'm going to tighten down all the knobs. Maybe that was my first mistake. Okay, now we're 13 thousandths off. Seems to be getting better. That's pretty good. You know what though? I always find myself doing this, right? In the hopes for perfection, you spend too much time trying to make something that doesn't need to be perfect, right? Just one more bump. Oh, no, other direction. Okay, that's something good. Okay, we're back to within 1,000 again. So now I'm gonna, as gently as I can, try to tighten this thing back up. Sledgehammer, man, if I hit this with a sledgehammer, I'm gonna get carried away. And I won't have a saw anymore. Okay, ready? Let's do this as easy as I can. Come on, don't loosen it up. It's weird because how hard this thing moves, like how hard it is to move it, I wouldn't imagine just a very gentle tightening would do it. We're gonna do one at a time here. So I tightened up one. Okay, we got a little bit of movement there. That's okay though. I tightened one up this time. And then we'll bump it. Okay, I think 3 thousandths is good enough for me. I'm just tightening this thing up. I mean, we're woodworking, right guys? I'm not doing like machinist type stuff, so I'm gonna call it at 3 thousandths. But guys, I appreciate you joining me on this first live. It was a little bit of a train wreck, but I'm glad somebody at least witnessed the train wreck that happened. So I appreciate it. All my normal guys, thank you for joining. I'm gonna put out some better lives in the future, but thank you for being here for the first one, and I appreciate everybody else that joined. And I hope everybody has a great day, and if I don't make another live prior to Christmas or the holidays, I hope everybody has a great holiday. But hopefully I'll be back before then. Boring Guy, DIY. Not as cool as Wes. Oh wait, ready? Double flip. Oh, peace.